Good morning. I hope you all exercised your right to vote today. And I think we can all agree uh, that how great it is that we don't have to see any more political ads for a while. You can't turn anything on without hearing these stupid political ads. But yeah, of course, I voted 4 or 5 times. Hope you all voted at least once. Anyway, on today's video, the college football playoff rankings part 2 come out tonight at 7 o'clock. And I wasn't going to go live until 8 or 9. I'm going to go live about 6:45 like I did last week, right before the show starts. My son had soccer practice today, but he had to come home. There's some kind of bug going around. The soccer team is spread it around. Now half the kids in his school have it. He had to come home sick today, so no soccer practice for him tonight. So I'll be able to go live at 6:45 for the playoff ranking show at 7, and then we'll go right into the call-in show after that. So I'll see you all tonight right here at 6:45. But before the rankings come out tonight, I'll give you my updated rankings. I try to do this every week during the season. Update you my rankings compared to the AP and coaches, and now that the playoff rankings are out, my rankings compared to the playoff rankings. Okay, in case you've been under a rock, here are both my playoff rankings from last week and the playoff committee's rankings from last week. Here you go. There was obviously some differences last week. I had Tennessee at 1, so did they. But I had Georgia at 2, whereas they had Georgia at 3. I had Michigan at 3. They had Michigan at 5. I had Ohio State at 4. They had Ohio State at 2. I had TCU at 5. They had Michigan at 5. I had Clemson at 6. They had Clemson at 4. I had Bama at 7. They had Bama at 6, I guess. I had Oregon at 8. So did they. And then we had I had UCLA and then Southern Cal. They had Southern Cal and then LSU. So that's last week's, okay? So we've had this weekend of college football. We all know 3 of the top 7 teams lost, right? Tennessee lost. Alabama lost. And who am I leaving out? Clemson, the Taters. Taters went down at the hands of Notre Dame. So 3 big losses within the top 7. So, of course, these rankings are going to get all shook up. I'm going to give you 2 sets of rankings here. I'm going to give you my own rankings, how I would cast my vote if I was on the playoff committee. And then I'm going to show you another list of what I think the playoff committee will actually do. Just my guess of what the committee will do tonight. But here you go. Up first, let me find my notes. Where's my notes? Up first. Let me see. Where are my notes? Are they over here? No. What the hell did I do with my copious notes? Are they in here? Maybe they're in here. Let me see. No, that's my Georgia national title ring from last year that they sent me for my invaluable contribution to the team via YouTube. Oh, here they are. Don't worry, I found them. Relax, you can calm down now. I know you were all starting to get anxiety there, wondering if I lost my copious notes. Answer, no, got my notes right here. Whew, close call. Now, what were we doing? Oh, yeah, my rankings. These are my rankings for this week. If I was on the playoff committee, this is how I would vote the teams. And then I'm going to show you what I think the rankings are actually going to be by the committee when they come out. What would Uncle Lou have? That's easy. Uncle Lou would have UGA at 1. Big win over Tennessee last week. It's hard to argue that. I mean, dominating performance against a team that the committee told me was the number 1 team in the country. Georgia absolutely embarrasses them. Georgia should be number 1. I'll have Michigan at 2 and Ohio State at 3. I know that's backwards from a lot of people. I flip-flopped Michigan and Ohio State a couple of weeks ago. I had Ohio State number 1 in the offseason. I had Ohio State number 1 in the preseason. I had Ohio State number 1 multiple weeks during this season. The last couple of weeks, I've flipped it around and put Michigan ahead of Ohio State. I just think that Michigan has looked a little bit better to me so far this year over the course of the entire season than Ohio State has. They play in a couple of weeks, so it doesn't matter. But that's how I have it, okay? At number 4, I've got TCU. Now, listen, a lot of debate around TCU, okay? And I'm just going to go ahead and admit right off the bat here. There are 1 and 2 loss teams that I think would beat TCU if they played tomorrow, okay? Period. That's not how I rank teams. At least that's not the only criteria I use. This isn't a power rating. A power rating is just, I think, 1 would beat 2, 2 would beat 3, 3 would beat 4. That's not how I rank teams. One of the reasons I love college football so much, probably the number one reason that I love college football so much, and I hear from a lot of you, this is very high on y'all's list of why a lot of you love college football. We have in college football the greatest regular season in all of sports, period. No one else even comes close. Why? Because a loss in week 1, 2, or 3 can be just as detrimental as a loss in week 9, 10, 11, or 12. Do we really want to do away with that? We're not in the first week of the season. We're not in the first month of the season. We're not even in the second month of the season. We're in the home stretch here. Most teams only have 3 games remaining. And all TCU has done all year long is go out and win every single game that they've played. They're 9-0. They're one of only 4 undefeated Power 5 teams. Do wins and loss matter or not? They have to matter. And the later it gets in the season, the more they have to matter. TCU starts off 1-0, fine. Don't even rank them if you don't want to. I don't care. You get to 9-0 and everyone else is catching L's, you have to take that into consideration. I think a proper ranking is a determination of where somebody thinks a team should be ranked versus where they deserve to be ranked. TCU deserves a top 4 ranking. They're undefeated. You can make a case they should be ranked 5 or 6, and I get that. I considered both aspects, and I've got TCU at 4. I just think in the end, wins and losses have to matter. Do I think Alabama would beat TCU on a neutral field tomorrow? Yes. What about Tennessee or Oregon? Yes. Ole Miss, maybe. Several other teams I could name, okay? Those teams lost. Don't lose. The schedule is harder. I can't prove beyond the shadow of a doubt that TCU would lose to Alabama or Tennessee or Oregon. I can't prove that. I can prove that they're 9-0 and you're not. I can prove that. And at some point, that has got to matter. And like I said, the later you get in the season, the more I think it matters. I think TCU at this point should be ranked number 4. Now, they play on the road this week at Texas, and they're a 7-point underdog. Texas is favored. The odds are not good that TCU finishes the season 12-0. And then they got to play a Big 12 title game. That would make them 13-0 if they were to win that. The odds are not in their favor to go 13-0. And if they don't, they won't be in the playoff. If they do, they will, and they will deserve to. It's up to TCU, just like it was up to Alabama to beat LSU and Tennessee. And it was up to Tennessee to beat UGA. It was up to Oregon to beat UGA. It was up to Southern Cal to beat Utah. It was up to UCLA to beat Oregon. None of those teams did any of that. Now it's up to TCU to win their last 3 regular season games and the Big 12 title game. And if they do that, they'll be in the playoff. If they don't, they won't. But I've got them at 4. Teams 5 and 6, I think you could swap them around. I've got Tennessee at 5 and Oregon at 6. Now, Tennessee fans, again, week in, week out, over the course of the season, you people have just proved there's no level of insanity you're not willing to aspire to. Tennessee fans have spent the last 2 months telling me that Oregon is way better now than they were when Georgia played them. Georgia ain't played nobody. Georgia ain't got no offense. Georgia ain't got this. I'd say, well, what about the Oregon game? We beat them by 46. Well, yeah, but Oregon's way better now, Lou. Way better now. No way you'd beat them by 46 if you played them now. Well, what is Tennessee fans saying today? We should be ranked ahead of Oregon, Lou. You know why? We only lost to Georgia by 13. You beat Oregon by 46. Oh, yeah? Well, if we played Oregon today, what would we beat them by? 13? This, according to you, this is what you've been telling me. Now, I'm not you. I have common sense and I have principles and beliefs when it comes to college football that I stick to, and I don't rotate them around based on whatever fits my preconceived, idiotic, ignorant notion. The reality is, it does matter that Georgia beat Oregon by 46 and beat Tennessee by 13. It definitely matters. Whether Oregon is better or not today doesn't have anything to do with it. I've got Tennessee at 5 and Oregon at 6. Tennessee fans are going to agree with me, but again, I don't know how you explain the last 2 months. Oregon's way better now, Lou. No way you'd beat them by 46. This is what you've been telling me for 2 months. Now today you're telling me, Lou, you beat Oregon by 46. Tennessee's got to be ranked higher than them. You beat Oregon by 46, Lou. I know we beat Oregon by 46. That's what I've been telling you for 2 months. You wouldn't listen. Jesus, I'm mentally challenged. Tennessee 5, Oregon 6. I've got UCLA at 7 and Southern Cal at 8. Here's the thing with the Pac-12 teams. Oregon at 6, UCLA at 7, Southern Cal at 8. Again, these are my rankings if I were on the playoff committee today. 2 of these teams are going away. It's just a reality, okay? They all have 1 loss right now. Oregon lost to Georgia. UCLA lost to Oregon. Southern Cal lost to Utah. Those are all decent losses. Those are all losses to pretty good teams. In the case of Oregon and UCLA, they have a loss to top 10 teams. In the case of Southern Cal, they have a loss to a top 15 team in Utah. So they're all sitting there with 1 loss. Well, UCLA and Southern Cal are playing in a couple of weeks. One of them's going to lose. Oregon has to play Utah. Maybe they lose that one. And then 2 of these 3 teams are going to play each other in a Pac-12 title game. It's possible all 3 of these teams eliminate themselves from this conversation, and we end the Pac-12 season with everybody having at least 2 losses. It's also likely somebody wins the Pac-12 at 12 and 1, and that's going to be interesting. That's going to be interesting if that happens, because where does a 12 and 1 Pac-12 champion fit in versus, let's say, an 11 and 1 Tennessee with no division title and no conference title? That's going to be the debate that we find ourselves in at the end of the year. So I'm not going to get into it now, just something to keep an eye on for down the road. And you can even throw TCU into that mix too. What if TCU loses to Texas this weekend, wins their last 2 regular season games, then beats Texas in a rematch in a Big 12 title game, and TCU is 12 and 1 with a conference title? And Oregon is 12 and 1 with a conference title. You going to put Tennessee in over one of those teams? Probably not. Probably not. Type about it, Tard, man. At number 9, I've got LSU. I did not even have LSU in my top 10 last week. But I've got them number 9 here. They beat Alabama. And I've got Ole Miss at 10. First 2 teams out for me would be Alabama and Clemson. So there you go. That would be my top 10 if I was making the Uncle Lou playoff poll today. Here's what I think the playoff poll will actually look like when it comes out tonight, 7 o'clock. Again, I'll be live streaming starting at 6:45. UGA 1, Ohio State 2, Michigan 3, TCU 4, Tennessee 5, Oregon 6, LSU 7, Southern Cal 8, Ole Miss 9, UCLA 10. That's what I think the playoff poll will look like according to the committee. I just told you what I would vote if it was up to me. There you go. See you tonight, 6:45, playoff selection show live right here on YouTube. Show comes on at 7 on ESPN. We'll start to stream about 6:45. We'll watch them go through the rankings and reveal all the rankings. Then I'll open up the phone lines and you guys can call in and we'll discuss the rankings, last weekend's games, next weekend's games, whatever you want to do. Hope to see you all there tonight. Have a good morning. Even you, Tennessee man.